and welcome to the latest episode of the Wind Down Rewind, where we rewind the latest in entertainment and pop culture news. Thank you for joining us. I'm Eddie,
And I'm Tammy.
and that is where you would hear our soon to be news intro. I need some news music, Tammy.
Wait. This list of requests is getting longer and longer, Eddie, and you haven't even gotten the first thing. Like,
Hey,
I gotta now be popping with my own mouth. Pop.
I'm manifesting, damn it, manifesting.
There you go. Put it into the universe. It'll come. It'll come at some point.
Um, so wow, okay. This is another one where we kind of gonna have to probably just talk and be inspired to have the title because I have not come up with one yet. There's a lot that's happened in the last couple of weeks, but not a lot. Like it was one of those where it was kind of slow news wise, but the shit that happened was just so much that it just everyone keeps talking about it. So but as usual, we'll get started with our quick pop follow-ups. Um, Britney is finally free. Her conservatorship is over, so congratulations to her. She's back in full control of her own life. So that's a good thing.
It is.
Um,
It's a great thing.
and I just never realized that conservatorships were just so fucked up. But yeah, so hopefully, she will be able to um, go on tour, make new music, do what she wants to do. And I just hope that she continues to be healthy. Um, so good luck to her. Rihanna is finally releasing music. Notice I did not say new music. Are you a Rihanna fan?
Yeah, I'd say I'm a fan of Rihanna. Yeah.
She's releasing all of her music, all of her previous. I didn't realize she had like 10 albums or 8 albums, but she's released them now on vinyl. So that should be interesting to see how that sells. So that's going to be cool for all
Is
those.
vinyl coming back?
It is, and it's super
Okay.
expensive. I have a record player. I bought one, and I have a bunch of albums in
Why
the
am I
attic.
not surprised about that?
I have a bunch of albums in the attic, which are probably melted, and so
Oh my
um,
gosh.
I'm slowly but surely buying albums or records, but they're like really, really expensive. Like when CDs for and we're on the edge. I love being the age that we are because we're on the edge of technology, but we also remember old school.
Yeah, you're
So
right about that.
you remember when CDs first came out and they were like $30, $20, like really expensive?
Yes.
That's where albums are now. They're like
Okay, gotcha.
they're
Because
like
it's coming back. It's coming back hip and cool. Hip. Oh my God, that's my age. It's coming back to be a cool thing. So now when they bringing out these records, of course they're bringing them out like they're a new thing because this new generation know nothing about vinyls.
no nothing. And so they're like super expensive. Sometimes you can find some that like on Amazon or if you go to Have Price Books, you can find them for cheap. The record players, the cost of them have actually come down. So I got a pretty good deal on mine. So yeah, but we'll see what happens. Uh, Sticking with music, Tory Lane is finally going to face charges and for shooting Megan Thee Stallion in the feet last summer, which yes, he needs to. Um, and also, speaking of Megan Thee Stallion, maybe I found something that's going to get you to watch the AMAs. She and BTS are finally going to be together in the same room performing live the Butter remix this next weekend on the AMAs. Are you going to watch or are you going to YouTube it?
Yes.
Oh, all right. So does that? So in
Well,
other
are
words,
you gonna watch?
I was about to say. So does that mean I have to text you when they come on?
Yes. You already know. Come on. And that was my first thought, right? Like when I saw it, I was just like, oh my God, like I have to see this performance. And I was like, oh shoot, I hope Eddie watches because she's gonna have to tell me when they come on.
Yeah, it'll probably be something on because I do
And
want to
it's
see
gonna
it.
be like at the ending because it's BTS.
Yeah, and I'm so excited. And I guess they should probably be leaving for LA here shortly. Probably sometime this week. That's always a big thing when BTS leaves Korea. Um, but and then I was looking, I'm like, damn, they're gonna be in LA for a while. But because their show is coming up, also their concert, which is cool. And apparently, word on the street is that for those of us who are at home who had no chance of hell of getting tickets, they are going to um stream. You will be able to purchase the stream for the last night of the show in LA, just like you would do for a regular for their online concerts.
Mm-hmm.
So you should be able to watch it online. So keep stay tuned to Weverse, and I'm sure other news. Keep it locked to the popcornwinedown.com, the daily wind down. That's the plug. And we will have more information as it's released on that for you. So I'm really excited about that. Also, in other big music news, they have cast the movie of Wicked, the movie version of Wicked. Um, have you seen Wicked?
Nope.
Do you like Wicked?
Nope.
Oh my gosh. I saw Wicked. It was really good, the play. And so I loved it. But Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo have been cast in the movie adaptation of Wicked. Are you going to watch it?
Is it a musical?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Cool.
It's a musical. I'll watch it.
Yeah. I because I've already seen the play and I love Ariana Grande and I love Cynthia Erivo. I am excited about this, so I would probably watch it too. Going into it knowing that it's a musical, and like I said, I've already seen it. I would watch it. And it pretty much is just a full on musical. It's not one of those where you're just like, oh, look at this tree, you hurt my feelings, and then they just bust out into random song. It's not one of those. It's like an actual full on musical. So, I am looking forward to that. We live in Texas, as you know, and I need you to get your senator, Cancun Cruz, who is now beefing with Big Bird.
He's a fucking idiot.
I was waiting. I was like, is this the part where you say, oh, but I'm not from there?
I'm from Jersey, y'all. I'm from Jersey. And just to put out some good news, Uncle Phil has been reelected as the governor of Jersey. I'll claim Uncle Phil.
Yeah. Yeah. Ted Cruz beefing with Big Bird for getting vaccinated. And I'm like, dude, have you never watched the Muppets? Do you not know what they do or what they've done? So, yeah, the whole GOP just sucks right now. But Big Bird, really? So I guess that gives him. I don't know. I guess they feel like they're winning this imaginary but not so imaginary culture war. I don't know what it is, but he's just a fucking idiot, and I need someone to come in and run against him and actually win. So Castro brothers, one of you, if you're out there listening, can you make that happen? I think y'all would actually stand a chance.
If the white dude didn't win against him, you actually think the Castro brothers will?
With the population, yeah. Well, I don't
No.
know. I don't.
Mm-mm.
You
Mm-mm.
don't think so?
Nope.
Huh.
I do not.
Okay. We'll see. Maybe in with the way they re-gerrymandered the state, probably not. But one could only hope.
Yeah, you're
Uh,
right about that.
so now, goodness. So getting into the actual wind down, um, there are a lot of sports stories, and I hesitated to put them on the list because I know you don't watch sports a lot. But these stories were just so like when you say sports and toxic masculinity, does that surprise you?
No.
Yeah, it doesn't, but you would think because I'm a huge sports fan and I love sports, and I try to think of it as the one place where you can kind of go and as a fan and not really have to deal with all the drama and all the other bullshit, but it permeates everywhere. And so sports, especially the owners and the management, most of the time you hear about it from the players, but hockey is being rocked by a scandal. And when you think of hockey and scandals, I maybe it's stereotypical me, but I would go for racism. Like, you know,
I would
that
too. So wait. So what's up with this then? Because that would be my automatic guess, but you're telling me it's not?
No, this is a sex scandal, a sexual misconduct scandal. And again, there aren't too many women in hockey. They promoted their first woman, and I want to say she's a woman of color, and she's like the assistant commissioner of something in hockey, and there to change the culture because hockey does actually have a few black players. So kudos to hockey for kind of sort of trying to diversify, although they catch hell. They do in the sport of hockey. But this one is a sexual misconduct scandal. And you would think that it would be one of the assistant GMs harassing one of the few women in hockey. But no, this one is about a GM harassing another male video assistant on the Chicago Blackhawks. And this happened a while ago. And it's just now coming to light. And so it has rocked the world of hockey. A lot of people have come out. A lot of people who are now with different teams and in different positions with different teams have quit their jobs or resigned their jobs over this scandal. And the more you hear about it, the worse and worse it gets. So, and I'm just surprised it hasn't been more front and center. But again, I guess because, of the nature, and I don't want to call him a victim. I'll just say the accuser, because it was a male, maybe because it's male on male, they don't want to talk about it much, or it's getting swept under the rug a little bit more. But the times that you do hear the stories about it, it's bad. And so the players knew, the owners knew, like everyone knew, but no one said anything or no one really did anything. And it's just like, wow. And it just led me to believe, is it because it's a man that no one did anything?
Nobody does anything when it's a woman.
I know. It's true. And then it made me think of Terry Crews and the times when you actually had sympathy for Terry Crews, because he didn't deserve what happened to him. He didn't. But then it's just like, wow, and other than that, I don't like talking about Terry Crews at all because he's Terry Crews. So, But
okay, so what I'm getting is, so you said a GM?
He was a former GM with the Chicago Blackhawks.
Okay, so the GM of the Chicago Blackhawks at the time was sexually harassing the videographer?
Yeah.
Huh. And everybody knew.
Yeah, like it was reported that the guy reported that, and and that's the thing, they've been very vague. It was sexual harassment or misconduct. Like, did he expose himself? Was it just comments? Like, they've been really pretty vague about it, but the more they talk about, but what you do get from the story is it was bad. Like, it wasn't a one and done. It wasn't him making some lewd off-color comment or joke. Like, it seems to be that it was continual and perpetual.
So is he gay?
I don't know.
Because you know how I think they have like one out player, and not to say, sexual assault is sexual assault, but yeah, I don't know how to word that. It's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, so they were saying that there were allegations of inappropriate text and unwanted advancements between the two.
Okay.
And
so he was putting out advancements. The guy was not, the videographer was not receiving it, did not want it. So, but he was still putting out those messages and behavior and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, he should get his ass beat.
Yeah. And so and like the guy, he brought suit, and initially he brought the suit under the name John Doe against the Blackhawks for the way they mishandled this. And I guess again trying to sweep it under the rug because hockey men, and it was like, oh, we don't want these allegations to, I don't know. It just it's just a lot. But then they were like, so the people who were in the meeting that got called into, they said they didn't know the exact depth of the conversations or the allegations, just that one of the videographers or whoever was making allegations against the then assistant GM or whatever at the time. So it's just crazy. And I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's affected a lot more people than just that with the Chicago Blackhawks. There was there one of the star players at the time, I forgot his name, he came out and said he's sorry he didn't do more, or that he knew what was going on. So yeah, we'll see that what happens and who they will ultimately hold responsible, because the guy, he did take the allegations, he did take the story, the report to his employers, and they didn't do anything to protect him or help him. And I guess that's my question. Would they have treated it differently if it was a woman? Do you think they still would have gone so far as to try to sweep it under the rug?
Yes.
Okay.
They do it all the time.
That is true. That is true. Well, speaking of more toxic masculinity in sports, the owner of the Phoenix Suns, the NBA team, he I don't even know where to start with him. He basically has used the N-word repeatedly. It was a report. ESPN dropped a report this week. He's a horrible owner, and apparently none of the other owners like him. But within his clubhouse, within his team, he has been accused of sexual harassment. He's been accused of dropping the N-word. He wanted to know why, if a black player used the word, he couldn't use the word, and he's white. And so when one of his black coaches told him he couldn't use the word, or his players told him he couldn't use the word, he still didn't seem to understand. He showed pictures of his wife in a bikini off to other players on the team. It's not funny, but it's just like he just seems like a horrible person. And so when I was watching stories about it, someone who worked for the Phoenix Suns, they were like, well, he's just an out of touch billionaire. You don't know what to say either, huh?
No. Like, this is never okay. And I don't fucking care how rich you are. It's never okay. And this just goes back to playing up on white sensibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Or fragility. My bad. Wrong word. White fragility. We don't want them to feel bad about what happened hundreds of years ago. But then stop fucking doing it. Like, stop doing it. Stop proving us right every single time that you tell us that you should not have to feel guilty about what your ancestors do. And we're like, okay. And then all of a sudden another story comes out of the reason why you need to be educated on what your ancestors did.
Yep. And there were also reports that women, that they felt so horrible that several women within the organization who worked there had reported that they had wanted to commit suicide just because their life at work was hell. There really haven't been a lot of specifics about, but they said a lot of it related back to him and the environment that he fostered. So it's, how they say shit rolls downhill. So if you see the guy at the top doing this and okaying it, then other executives and junior level executives and assistants, especially men, are going to do that as well.
They protect their own.
Yeah. And so I was just like, wow. So there's an investigation into this. The NBA is investigating it. There has been talk that they might try to take away the team. That's really, really hard to do. The last time that was happened, one of the first and only few times that that's happened is when Gosh, the dude who used to own the Clippers before Steve Ballmer, and I can't think of his name right now because he is a horrible son of a bitch. But sorry,
I
forgive
know,
me.
but I remember, like, that was what came into my head when you were talking about what the owner of the Suns was doing. Automatically, like, that story came into my head as well, where
Yeah,
they ultimately took his team away from him.
yeah. So they don't know if it's going to rise to that, but and the Suns are, and what makes it so horrible is that he finally seems to have found the right coach. Because for a long time, like the dude who used to work there, he was also, I think he was a GM at the time, and he's been very vocal in his dislike for Sarver and how horrible of an owner he is. But now the team actually is good. They're actually winning. They made it to the NBA Finals last year. They have a lot of good players and talent. So it's like, is this going to distract away or take away from what they're doing on court? But it's like they knew who they were playing for. So it's not like this has been a secret. But it kind of is like when all the attention is on it now, when it becomes that truly public, open secret, um, when everyone knows it's no longer a secret. So now that all the attention is on you, your team, and your owner, is this going to be too big of a distraction? So we will see, also see what happens with this story. So, and speaking of that, Aaron Rodgers, I know you heard about that, right?
Yes.
So Aaron Rodgers, just to recap, talking about white male fragility. Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, star of a lot of State Farm commercials, which some of them are actually kind of funny. Aaron Rodgers had long since been known as an asshole, and I guess because of his successful stint at hosting Jeopardy, the State Farm commercials, he had done some rehab. It seemed like over the past couple of years, he had kind of loosened up and stopped taking himself so seriously and stopped being such an asshole. But so kudos to his PR team. Until last week, he had he had most people believing that that was the case, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so earlier in the year and last year, they were asking players, "Hey, have you been vaccinated?" And he says, "I have been immunized." Which, if you're using the thesaurus, vaccination, immunizations, they're kind of like synonyms for one another. So most people
Ain't
would
nobody
assume,
using no thesaurus, Eddie.
well, I'm
But
just,
everybody automatically assumed you use a different word, but the answer was yes to the question that was asked of him.
yes. And so so he gets the Rona, which, okay, because there are breakthrough cases, and especially with the Delta variant being the dominant strain now in the US, it has made the vaccines a little less effective. And it was never a foolproof thing. They've always said, hey, you could still get it. It would just decrease your chances of becoming deathly ill, having to go to the hospital, and dying from this. So most people were not under the assumption that, hey, if I get vaccinated, I'm never ever going to get it. It's not 100% immunity. So, but then it turns out that this fool straight up had a lot, my bad, he quote unquote misled the people about his vaccination status, and meaning that he had not been vaccinated at all whatsoever, but he was living his best vaccinated life, meaning not wearing masks around people, following the same protocols that the people who had been vaccinated followed. He wasn't following the unvaccinated protocols, which are a lot more strict. Going to Halloween parties, talking to people all up in their face, unmasked, and all that kind of stuff. And then when he got called out on this, he had the nerve to say his body, his choice. And then he quoted that same anti-vax party line. He didn't want to be sterile. It makes him sick. He's allergic to the vaccines. Um, he listened to he's not an anti-vaxxer. He trusts science, but he trusts Joe Rogan more, who basically told him to take ivermectin, and that would help immunize his system, and then the antibodies and all of that other shit. So, um, what is your take on Aaron Rodgers and his misleading? Oh, and then my favorite, of course, is when he quoted Dr. Martin Luther King.
He should have been suspended. The Green Bay Packers should have lost a couple of their wins within the season. They should have been fined more than what they were fined. What they were fined was a drop in the bucket for the Green Bay Packers, as well as for him and the other player who bucked against the system with the rules for the unvaccinated population of the NFL. Yeah, like that's ultimately what it is. I don't think his punishment fit the crime. I think he should have had they should have given a harsher punishment, because it wasn't only him, but he was protected by the Green Bay Packers. He was protected by the team. They knew that he was not vaccinated and they let him do what he did. So knowing that, you should be held accountable more harshly than what you are, in order to teach all the other teams that want to protect their star players that you will not be getting away with this. Like, you will not be bucking the system and bucking the rules that we have put into place in order to keep everybody within the NFL organization safe. And they did not do that.
I agree. He got the Rodgers rate on the fine, but which is a drop in a bucket. But also, in this case, he has every right not to be vaccinated if that's the choice that
But
he
follow
wants
the
to.
rules.
But follow the rules, and it's not your body, your choice when you're putting everyone else in that organization at risk. And that's one thing at least I can respect about Kyrie Irving, is he's standing his ground. He said he wasn't going to take it. He made
And he's
quotes,
taking a financial hit.
but even though he's still getting paid, he's getting fined, but he's also still getting paid. So it balances itself out. But he's taking that PR hit. He's not making excuses. Yes, he's quoting misinformation. Whatever his reasons are, he's standing by it. He didn't go and try to lie to his team or mislead anyone about him getting the vaccine. He said from the beginning he's not getting it. He hasn't gotten it. Um, he's willing to take that hit. So if that's the case, he didn't. My problem is not that you quote unquote that you didn't take it. My problem is not even that you're anti-vax or whatever, your choice. My problem is that you straight up lied, and then you have the nerve to go get all up in your feelings when people called you out online. At that point, dude, it wasn't even about you being unvaccinated. Fuck it, you're unvaccinated. Say that, take the hit, and move on. You just wanted to be Mr. Popular. So if you're so convinced that what you're doing is the right thing, why are you so ashamed to say that you're not vaccinated? I
Because
mean,
it would take his freedom away. That's ultimately what it, because I I get he's an idiot, but like, I look at it as in, you had rules on being on the sideline, that if you were unvaccinated, you had to wear a mask when you were on the sideline. If you were vaccinated, then you can be without a mask. He went without a mask on the sidelines and put his teammates in danger, because you don't know who gets it, and it affects them more than it affects you. But because you wanted to be all, oh, it's my body, my choice. Oh, but we never let women do that. Women never get away with that statement. Now, and it's ultimately because you were the star of the team. You're the quarterback. They're gonna protect you, and they're gonna let you do whatever you want. And that's what ultimately happened. No, he got away with this because his team protected him. That's why he got away with it, because the team protected him. And I'm not talking about the players. I'm talking about the top tier of the Green Bay Packers protected him. And
the
that was the problem.
organization. Yeah.
The organization protected him. And that is the problem. More than him with all this nonsense. Like, I get that, but I'm like, people have to don't miss the main point. On the reason why he was able to do this is because he was protected by the Green Bay Packers. That is why he was able to do this, ultimately.
And I agree with you. And like the same thing. Um, if you're unvaccinated, when you go into the media room, you have to have a mask. He didn't wear a mask in the media room. He didn't wear the mask around the locker room. Um, and so it's like, dude, you didn't straight up mislead people. You straight up fucking lied to people, and in doing so, you put other people's lives at risk. You risk the health of your teammates. And to me, as the leader of the team, the quarterback is the leader. I don't care if you're the official team captain or not. The quarterback is the leader of a football team. That is fucking piss poor leadership. That is the height of selfishness. And then also, like I said, to act like a fucking baby and want to blame woke cancel culture. No one's canceled your ass, although you straight up lied. So people calling you out on your lies and holding you accountable for your lies is not cancel culture. It's not the woke mob coming after you. It's people being rightfully upset that you fucking lied.
Yep. I
So
agree.
I was just like, wow, to you know dismiss so much PR, the goodwill or the good PR that you had kind of done to rehab your image. um, it, it- you know, but like you said, it also goes up to the top of the Green Bay or Packers organization, the NFL, and they're fast and loose with the rules. Um, Cam Newton, and I get it's a different organization, but Cam Newton was released from the Patriots because he would not get vaccinated initially. He has since been vaccinated and is now back with his original team, the Carolina Panthers. So it's just like the double standards for star players, and then different types of star players versus other players, is amazing. And the NFL is also being sued, in a follow up to a story we covered a couple of weeks ago by John Gruden, the former coach of the Raiders. He's suing them to seek damages for destroying his career and his reputation, after his emails were released. And I think he kind of has a point. It seems like they set him up to be a scapegoat, because after they released his emails for that whole scandal, which had nothing to do with the team he was coaching at the time, they said that they're not going to release any more information from that investigation about the Washington football team. So we'll see where that goes. Okay, on to the big story of the week: Astroworld and Travis Scott. We live here in Houston, obviously, for those of you who don't know. I think we've mentioned that before, that we live in Houston. Lovely town. Travis Scott, a hometown favorite, threw his annual Astroworld concert or festival, which ended in tragic disaster. I can't think of another way to put it. Um, and the fallout from that has been nightmarish, especially for the people who were there, for those who lost their lives, for the family members and friends of those who lost their lives. Um, it just will not stop. I don't even know where to begin with that. I I would
So
say, go ahead.
he has this annual concert. There have been incidents previously um at this major festival that he throws. Coming back and throwing Astro World. And it's too many stories coming out, because I've heard that um they actually bombarded the gate before he even got on stage, and nothing was done about it, and they continue to move on with the festival, even though the fans, I can't think of the word, but they broke down the gate and got into the VIP section early on before he even got on stage. He still got on stage and said the show must go on, I'm guessing. There's stories of people being stuck with needles of drugs, and he was informed of that, and he kept performing. Um, when the disaster happened, like it's kind of like the show must go on, is what I'm ultimately hearing from the stories that I'm reading from the commentary that I've listened to on what exactly happened. Not a fan of Travis Scott at all. Not necessarily like I really like I've seen like the merchandise from Astroworld, but I really didn't know what it was. It's just it's very tragic that lots of people died, but I mean, there were signs because there have been incidents of violence at previous Astroworlds. At the last one, there were incidents, violent incidents that happened at Astroworld, and um, there was no discussion of strengthening security or discussing um, having 50,000 people at Astroworld, but not having a plan in place to make sure that everybody was safe.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I'm I'm a fan. I'm not a. I like some of his music, but am I a full-on Travis Scott fan? No. So it would have never occurred to me to go to Astroworld. I thought when he first started putting them on, I thought, oh, okay. And I get it because now it where the show is held is in a parking lot across from NRG Stadium. Well, back in the day, that used to be the Astroworld theme park, the Six Flags theme park that used to be here. So I get the site. I get the homage he was paying to the city and all of that. Um, but I'm with you. I remember I was watching my show that I watch every day, General Hospital. And at the end of General Hospital, I tape it every day. And at the end of the recording, it catches the first part of the news, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember watching on the news, and that was the lead-in story for the 3 p.m. news that day, was it showed everyone bum rushing through the gates way before the park had even opened. Like the
Mm-hmm.
crowd was that rowdy and that out of control, and they bum rushed the gates. And then I was thinking, and when I saw that, I'm like, there is no way they're going to be able to get that back under control. Just like how rabid they looked going through the gates. And they were talking about people getting trampled at that time, just how dangerous that was. And I'm like, and they still let them in, like they didn't do anything to corral that. And at music festivals, usually there's more than just two stages because they want the people to be kind of like spread out. And it's a big parking lot, like acres and acres, because again, this used to be a theme park where it's set up, and they've just since turned it into a parking lot. um so it's like, and I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't realize that there were just two stages. So you have 50,000 people basically in attendance at this place, crowded on one stage all day in this contained area. And then they had them like at gates. And I'm like, that in and of itself is not safe. So in between sets, all they can do is drink. And like you said, they said that, I don't know, they've since said that the story about the security guard being injected with something with drugs was not true. I guess his toxicology came back negative, but I don't know if other people besides the security guard had been injected, but that's still something kind of crazy to hear just like happening. But usually at a festival, like I said, they have multiple stages, more than just two. So you have the crowd spread out, and you have multiple acts playing at staggering times, but still so that the crowd they're spread out and they can do different things, and they're not just sitting there. So after you have this one crowd, and SZA was the last person to go on before Travis Scott, you have a 45-minute window in between the headliner. So you have a crowd out there that's already been rowdy, that at this point is probably drunk and rowdy and amped up, and you have them waiting 45 minutes so you can go on your specially built $5 million stage. And I guess and I didn't know this either, because like I said, I'm not a big enough fan to really research Travis Scott or go to a concert to even want to go to a concert. But apparently he is the embodiment of Rage Against the Machine at his concerts. Like, there have been violent incidents, not just at Astroworld, but he
He
has a
encourages
history.
it.
he has a history of violence happening at his shows dating all the way back to 2015. And then he pled guilty to encouraging it in what, I forgot which show, but he actually pled guilty. So it's just like, it was just so, but it was the unperfect storm of just a bunch of tragic events happening at one time. But when you have the girl standing up there trying to tell the security guards people are dying, when you see people in the crowd being sucked into a hole, and you know his people, even if he's on stage and he can't necessarily see out into the stage, you know his people knew, because she wasn't the only one trying to report this. You have people in the crowd chanting, "Stop the show, stop the show." You have ambulances coming through the show, and you still want to fucking go on. They said he did his, and I didn't realize this, he did his full entire set except for the encore while all this shit was happening.
The show must go on. That was the attitude.
And I'm like, you have people fucking dying. And even if it wasn't people dying, you know, you have people hurt in the crowd, and the show must go on. So is this what it takes for you to realize, even after being charged before, pleading guilty and facing charges, and having people, knowing that people have been hurt at your show because of the type of energy and atmosphere that you promote, this is what it takes for you to realize that that is not the thing to do in a crowd like this? Like, I don't get it. Like, so
and then he had a very, oh my gosh, the apology was ridiculous. Because you don't really feel sorry. You don't really feel sorry. Then you got forced into paying for the funerals because you wouldn't have done it if they didn't tell you that you're in a PR clusterfuck and you need to do something. But that's just not it. Like, there needs to be a conversation about this never happening again. You need to be at the forefront of this conversation of this never happening again. People died. And then who the heck brings their 10-year-old kid to Astroworld? Who does that?
I don't know.
Like how? Oh my God, I hate, like, I don't want to say it, and deep down I know I don't really feel this, but on the surface, this generation is fucked. Like they have no, like, yeah, they're just fucked.
Yeah, like, you know, I heard some people talking about it, some younger people talking about it, like it was nothing. Oh, were you there? Yeah. Did you get trampled? No, it was cool. Like, really? That was fucking cool?
Yeah.
You know, and it just seems like, and it goes on, and not just him. Like, yes, you bear responsibility because it was your event, you put it on, your team. Like I said, even if at that point on stage you don't know, and looking out to the crowd, it may be kind of hard to tell. But when you see the ambulance lights, when you hear the sirens and see the sirens, then something should tell you to stop. When the crowd is chanting "Stop the show," something should tell you that something is wrong. Because you know your audience, you know the people that you cater to, you know that they're not just going to start chanting "Stop the show" for nothing. You know, so that, to me, it kind of gives into this whole kind of sense of depravity. And then to talk about the people in the audience, in the crowd, who were ignoring what was going on around them, the people who were trying to jump and dance on emergency vehicles, the people who were not extending help and care to others. That, to me, also says something about some of the people that were at this show. Like, what the fuck? What type of human being are you?
That's why he should be sued, and I hope they win millions of dollars from him.
The suits have already started. There are at least 110, and I was like, okay, so they should turn this into one big class action suit. The apology, like you said, the initial one was horrible. I don't know.
I heard the follow-up one wasn't that great either.
No. And And then he offered a month of free therapy on BetterHelp.
See, PR.
And go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, that's ultimately what it is, because at first I don't think he realized how serious this was. I don't think he did, and all the bad publicity that he is getting, and he is being raked over the coals for the part that he played in the tragedy that happened at Astroworld. Sometimes, the artists don't get blamed for this, right? They're like, it's not my responsibility, or, we tried. But because he really did have the mentality of the show will go on, the show must go on, he is going to be held accountable. So now his PR team is telling him what he needs to do, but I don't find it to be genuine.
Yeah,
I don't find it to be genuine.
That's what a lot of people said. Like, they're like, okay, so is this a publicity stunt with
It is.
BetterHelp? Like, if and I agree. I read this that, okay, I understand you wanting to provide trauma, but since this was something that happened in a more localized area, why don't you set up a trauma hotline? Why don't you set up trauma clinics, or places where people can go to get the help that they need? Because I am sure that was a traumatic event. I am sure that people are suffering from PTSD from that event. It's horrible to hear it. When the city of Houston comes out and basically says, look, and Judge Lena steps out there and she's like, look, they presented us a plan. We're checking to see what happened with the plan, how it went so wrong, the security plan. The crowd size, they said there isn't a limit to crowd size on outdoor events, especially like that. But like I said, I want to say it's at least 30 acres, because Astroworld was a big ass park. And again, going back to the setup, 2 stages, 50,000 people, and you have them gated in a contained area like that. What the fuck were you thinking? Like, I've been to concerts and festivals here in Houston that were held in places a lot smaller than that, and they've had several stages, a bunch more stages set up, and the crowd size was bigger than that, and it wasn't nearly that bad. It wasn't bad at all. There was no incident like that at all. You have booths, you had places where people could buy food, you had different things set up, but the point is that you did not have all those people in one contained area like that. You had staggered starts to the shows. It just wasn't. It just seems like it was poor planning all the way around. And I don't necessarily know how it got approved. Maybe he was supposed to have more security. I don't know where security was to allow this to happen. I know you can't have a security guard out there for every person, but someone should have said, you don't gate 50,000 people into a contained area just like this. And someone should have taken notice that, hey, once they broke through the crowd like this, oh, this crowd is too amped up. Something is wrong. And I guess it goes back to the mindset of what we said earlier. Like, this is what he promotes at his shows, obviously, which
Yep.
I had no idea. And that's fucking crazy.
Yep. So
So,
yeah, of course, just feel so heartbroken over the people who have lost their lives. And this does not make me want to listen to Travis Scott music. So yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
It's sad. I hope that I continue, and it sounds hollow, and I hate saying it, but I really do pray for everyone that was there, the families of those. They were all, and it's never a good age, but they were all so young. The youngest at 14. The latest victim, she was 22. She was brain dead, and she passed away. So there are now 9 victims. Um, who lost their lives in something that seems so senseless and tragic and could have been avoided. Um, you know, I I don't know, and I, I hope he learns his lesson. I hope
He won't. He
I
won't. I hope that the people who went learned their lesson, because artists like that won't learn their lesson. We can't focus on them. We got to focus on their fans and who listens to them and who goes to these types of things. You are not invincible. And that's what it is. You need to learn your lesson on going to these types of events. When you, if somebody else goes to Astroworld later on, after hearing about how 9 people died at the last one, and you go and you realize, and if it ends up happening that it's the same situation and you stay, that's on you.
I
That's on
don't.
you.
I don't know. You think there'll be another Astroworld?
Yes. Yep. Because they got to prove that they know better and they're going to do better.
You think the city and the county would approve it?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I hope, and correction, I agree. I hope everyone learns their lesson. I hope he learns his lesson. Dior, the fashion house is fuck. They have their entire men's collection is built around Travis Scott.
Oh shit. Are you serious?
I read that the other day. I posted it on the site. I have no idea what they're gonna do, because right now, even Rolling Stone
When does
magazine,
it come out? Do you know?
I want to say we're coming up for the spring. We've already done the fall and winter, so I want to say it's the spring collection.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
And it's not
I
like
hope they can wait a couple months.
it's not like BTS, their partnership with Louis Vuitton, where you have like where you have a BTS collection, and or you have like someone modeling a collection, or you design something specifically for this person or this group to model or anything like that. It's not like a collab. It's a whole fucking collection.
Oh
So,
my gosh. Okay.
and yeah, Rolling Stone was just talking about how the Travis Scott brand was not built for this. And I'm like, but how was it not built for this when that is what you're advertised as? Like I said, aside from liking a few songs, and knowing who he was, knowing that he was from H Town, wanting him to win because of that, the only other thing I knew about Travis Scott was that he was Kylie Jenner's baby daddy. I really had no history, or no knowledge of the history of violence and stuff at his shows. Like, I didn't follow him that much, but going back and seeing that this type of stuff, it's not an accident. Like, this type of shit follows you. This is what you've promoted. Isn't this the exact brand that you built?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a shame because he is talented, like, and I can't take that away from him. He does good. He has some good collabs on musically, but it's just like, dude, when this is what you've promoted, this is the brand that you've built. So your chickens, they're gonna come home to roost, and it's just like, whatever. Like, and I don't mean to sound so blasé or flip about it, but if this is what you keep promoting, this is what is going to happen. And I don't understand how no one has taken signs from before, and no one has tried to rein him in and say, look, we've got to tone this down before something bad happens, before something like this happens. So, it's just a failure on so many levels. But gosh, we need a palate cleanser. You got something?
I do. I do. I was just looking to make sure that I got some K-pop news that I can end us with, so we end on a better note than this shit.
All right.
Okay, so just a couple of new music that is coming out of the K-pop world based on the people that we love and that we talk about continuously over and over again. So Monster X's new mini album is coming out on November 19th. So
Isn't that full English? I'm sorry.
Yes, full English album, No Limit, is coming out on the 19th. Now, I do believe Shonu recorded for the album, but he will not be performing because he is currently in the military for his mandatory enlistment. Also, Kai from EXO. Kai is coming out. He's doing his first comeback on November 30th.
Ooh.
All right, with his second album. So I'm very, very excited about that because I know we loved his first solo project.
Surprisingly, yes.
Yes, like he did an amazing job on his first solo project. So I'm very, very excited to see him come out with this second one. And then Mark, did you listen to Mark's new single?
I did. I gave it I have to go back and listen to it because I'm just going to be honest. This was a bad week. It was this week was a struggle, and so when I listened to it, but it was more or less just on. So I haven't. I'll have an opinion on it. Definitely by the next time we talk. And by the next time we talk, it might just be a full-on music review wind down, especially if the news is as crappy as it was this one, because Adele and Monster X, they're coming out on the same day. So we will have a plenty to review on those two. Um, and going back to Monster X, they did do some performances without Shonu, I guess, to just kind of get us ready.
Yes, I've seen him.
And I'm gonna have to say I did miss Shonu, but not, and I guess because I know where he is and I know it's not their choice. I know the show must go on, and as much as we've just talked about that, this is in a good way. I think they did a really good job of filling in the holes, I guess. And
Well, yes, I will agree with you because, okay, so one thing that I think really, really works for Monster X is the fact that there's no weak links, right? So their rappers sing, and because everybody has to pitch in on singing the part of Shonu's parts for their songs. So Young Wan did it one time. Minnie did it another time. Honey does it, and Honey has a phenomenal voice. Like, oh my gosh.
he
and
does.
um and then Kiki has done it too. Like the only one who I guess would be considered to not have a strong enough voice to really do Shonu's parts would be I.M, but I still love his vocals as well. But yeah, like they've done a great job on like kind of bringing it together so they don't have like an open space for where he is, because this is for a year and a half. So y'all got to figure this out for a year and a half while he's in the military. Well, actually, for 6 months because Kiki goes next year. So,
Mhm.
so yeah, so they've done a great job on the
Yeah.
performances that I've seen. So I definitely have to agree.
And I think IM's register is too low to fill in for Shonu.
Yeah,
He has like that.
he's very low with his vocals.
Yeah, he has a deeper voice like V. Although V's a little bit more flexible, like he can do the higher notes when, especially like when he has to sing with Jimin. But so. But anyway, I am looking forward to hearing to hearing their album. And Kai, I did not know he was coming out on the comeback. And I learned something new from you today. Congrats out to In Hyphen, million album sellers on their latest release.
Yes,
So,
they did. They broke a record. What is it? They are only the fourth generation act to do. No, they're only the fourth generation act to do it. Besides BTS, I think they're like the fifth or something like that. NCT, of course, has done it. Stray Kids has done it as well, and then and Hyphen has done it. So not even like the amazing group that is TXT has been able to do that with one of their records. So congratulations to In Hyphen for that. That's
congratulations.
awesome.
That is awesome. And Kai, Kai makes me miss. Kai makes me miss. Don't make me say it. Bacon. I was
Oh,
listening.
so I have one more thing. So last year when we did um our Golden Goblets awards, my newest actor that I really really love, so he literally went to the military after I discovered him, and he is now out. All right,
All
so
right.
he served his year and a half in the military, and he's already getting roles. So excited to see what he comes up with next.
Was
So that's definitely an excitement
was
on
he one of the ones? I'm sorry. Is he part of the Luga crew? Was he one of the
No, no,
Lugas?
no, 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 no.
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 Okay.
No, that was Park Young Sik.
And he's back
And
too, though, isn't he?
he's already got a new show out.
Oh, okay. I'll have to
Yeah, he
check it
already
out.
has a new show out, he already did a movie as soon as he got out. So yeah, like he's already like hit the ground running, like I'm doing my thing. Of course, well, they have to wait for them as well. Like they actually already have conversations with them before they actually finish their enlistment. But yeah, so no, he is no, he's just a young actor coming up. I think he did an awesome job on the roles that he's had, and he's a promising actor coming out of Korea. So I'm excited to see what comes from him next.
Well, I think we all are. The way Squid Game, BTS, everyone's opening the doors, which I'm sure we'll talk about in our K-pop, K-drama wrap up at the year end. I'm looking forward to more crossovers, to seeing them actually get more and more roles, especially um, if our boy, I'm having a name, I'm having brain drain right now. But if our boy from Itaewon Class can kill it in the Marvels, I think that's gonna we'll see what happens with all of that. Um, but I guess that does it for this week's episode. This latest episode of the Wind Down Rewind. I think we sufficiently cleansed our palates
Yes.
after what I still didn't come up with one, but we'll get it. We'll get it.
I
So
was
that
gonna
does.
say, like, the one where this generation is fucked.
We might not want it to be so tragic, especially after our
I
last one, but
know,
uh, we it might be this generation is screwed or something. But
I know.
woo.
Oh
Um.
gosh.
So that does it for this episode of the Rewind. Please be sure to listen, like, follow, and comment on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and or Spotify Podcasts. You can also keep up to date on the latest in entertainment and pop culture news, as well as other amazing kernels of pop culture goodness at the Popcorn Wind Down. That's it. That's the plug. Pop, pop,
Pop,
pop,
pop,
pop,
pop,
pop.
pop, pop, pop.
And then insert my outro news music here. Da 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 da
Add
da.
into that list, y'all.
Well, thank you as always. And until next time, I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy. Bye.
Peace.